Hello, everyone. Yes, you're welcome to today's live session. So, guys, with what happened yesterday at the tribunal, I mean, so many Nigerians have still not come to terms with the kind of ruling that, was handed over to the Nigerian people. So many people least expected, what came out from the tribunal yesterday. And we all saw it as a very big betrayal. We saw that our democracy, I don't know, cannot really survive what happened at the election tribunal yesterday. But like we all know, we have a man that we are following, that we believe in. That is Peter Obi. He has finally reacted. I don't know if you've seen that clip. So we'll be starting with that clip just to allow you guys listen to what he has got to tell the Nigerian people. You have to just be patient. Let me play that clip and you take a look at
6th
what
of
Mr. Peter
September
Obi got to say.
2023, the Presidential Election Petition Court, PEPC, finally delivered its long-awaited judgments on petitions challenging the outcome of the presidential election held on 25th of February 2023. This judgment was delivered within the statutory time frame under the extant status. We acknowledge the court's contributions to due process and seeming attempt to strengthen our democracy. As petitioners in this case, we respect the views and ruling of the court, but we disagree with the court's reasoning and conclusions in the judgment it delivered. It is my intention as the presidential candidate and the intention of Labour Party to challenge this judgment by way of appeal immediately as allowed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The PEPC has rendered its judgment, but that esteemed body is not the final arbiter. The responsibility now falls on the Supreme Court. I do know that the judgment is not conterminous with justice. I implore Nigerians to remain focused, steadfast, and peaceful, and to abide by the rule of law and understand this matter has not reached its logical conclusion. Our legal team has already received our firm instruction to file an appeal against the decision. I shall not relent in quest for justice, not necessarily for myself, but for indeed for our teeming supporters all over Nigeria, whose mandate to us at the post was regrettably truncated by INEC. The strength and value of our democracy reside on solid national institutions and our confidence in them. Electoral litigations will almost be unnecessary and non-existent if the Independent National Electoral Commission discharges its statutory functions creditably, transparently, and with tenable fairness. When that body fails, as it did recently, thus subverting the will of Nigerian voters, the recourse to judiciary becomes imperative, as is now the case. I thank every Nigerian who has supported our cause and campaign for a new Nigeria, characterized by fairness, equity, justice, rule of law, peace, prosperity, inclusiveness, sustainable growth and development. A new Nigeria is possible and achievable. I especially thank our legal team, the Labour Party and the obedient family, and all those who showed up daily during our court trials. God bless you all, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Yeah, Doc, I'm going to let you come in at this point. Honestly, watching that judgment yesterday, watching the court proceeding, as in, you feel like crying, especially when they were like saying that the petitioner failed, you like, is it now a crime to take your case to the court? So we've heard what our president, or let me say our presidential candidate, has got to say. Doc, let's hear your own analysis from what Mr. Peter Obi just said now.
Good evening, our friends and viewers and listeners. I am glad that we are back here again today. Some people have been saying, I'm done. I belong to a lot of platforms where some people are saying, I'm leaving this platform. I don't think I have the emotions. I don't think I have the capacity to endure this kind of humiliation and pain again. Something that I quite accept and I understand. However, I woke up this morning from the same pain that all of us suffered and are still suffering, and I realized that this is exactly what they wanted to do. To embarrass us, to hit us so hard, and to humiliate us in their own mind, shock us in such a way that we will throw in the towel so they can have a field day. Nigerians, I want to start by telling us we should not back out. We actually gave them a run, and that is why they acted in such a reactive manner as they did in their judgment yesterday. It was a reactive judgment. It was something they did, so to say, all of you who have been harassing us in social media in this, we want to tell you people that we are in charge, that we are the judges and the executive have the control of everything. To me, that is the way I summarize it. And I want to tie it to our principal. You can see his calmness, his mien, his relaxed way of doing things. This whole speech is not even up to 4 minutes, but he has summarized everything. You know what he said? As simple as relax. As we say it in Nigeria, be calming down. It is not over yet. He's going over to the apex court, to the Supreme Court, to do what? To appeal. And that is what I would expect him to do. Some people might say, is it not these people? I said it yesterday, that the Supreme Court is more politicized than the appeal court. I agree, and nothing has changed. I said it yesterday, if you listen to our broadcast yesterday, that they have done the job for the Supreme Court, that the Supreme Court will probably throw away Peter Obi's appeal within a matter of days. I said it, but I want us to listen to me this evening. I am happy that he's going on appeal, because when he gets to that appeal, he will achieve two things, one of which is he may end up winning. It's a may. The second one is that even if they deny him that mandate, he would have added to the victory of exposing the rots in our system, as he has done to this level. Number one, Peter Obi has awakened Nigerians, opened their eyes to see the rots in our politics, one, the rots in INEC, two, the rot in the judiciary up till the appeal court. But we don't know if the Supreme Court might choose to redeem the judiciary by doing what is ideal, or they will end up towing the same path that the appeal court took. If they do, Peter Obi would have succeeded in adding another feather to his cap, and that is the feather of showing us indeed how dirty our system is. Need I remind us what I've been saying for the past 7 to 8 months in all the media platforms where I've found myself? I said it and I'm saying it again, that the judiciary, that our electoral process since independence have been constituted of 3 votes. 3 votes determines who become a president in Nigeria. 3 people vote to become, for us to get a president in Nigeria, but only 2 votes determines who becomes the president. The people is all the people's vote is 1 vote. The electoral umpire, whether you call it FEDECO, NEC, NECON, or INEC, is 1 vote. The judiciary is another vote. And now what happens is that because a tie has to be broken, the judiciary becomes the vote that breaks the tie. And since 1963 till date, the judiciary has been breaking the tie, and they have been voting on the wrong side. That is why our political system is as rotten and as dirty as it is today, because the judiciary have chosen to always tag along with those who are interested in destroying our democracy for their own personal gain. That was why we lost the First Republic in 1966. That was why we lost the Second Republic in 1983. Because the judiciary continually decide to vote along those who are stealing and destroying democracy, the politicians, instead of the people. The judiciary chose to vote. INEC or FEDECO or NECON or NEC were always, aside from 1993, when NEC, National Electoral Commission, under Professor Nwosu, wanted to vote with the people. And the judiciary did what again? The judiciary again stopped it. It was not the army that stopped it. It was the judiciary again that denied Abiola his mandate. The judiciary. It was the judiciary that did what they did in 1979, that empowered the politicians in such a dirty, bold way of what they did in 1983. I'm telling us this based on the fact that I've read the historical antecedent of Nigerian political journey. It was the judiciary again that have helped these people to perpetuate themselves up until now. And we are thinking that the judiciary will wake up again after the politicians mistakenly, the legislative arm of the politicians mistakenly gave us an electoral act that could catch them in their act. And the president magnanimously signed it into law. I was hoping that the judiciary would say, finally, we've caught them. Because this thing they made, this electoral act they made, and by the legislature, and this their signature, the executive used to sign it into law, has now handed over power to us. We can now use it to clean the system. But what happened yesterday showed me and revealed to me that the politicians are not actually our problem. The legislature is not our problem. The executive is not our problem. Our problem is the judiciary. Because if they raise their hammer and knock it in the head of the politicians, they will bow. But they have chosen not to do it. And that is why we are where we are today, Nigerians. And so you ask me, if that be the case, why should Peter Obi proceed? And I said, let him go there and prove it to all Nigerians beyond reasonable doubt that indeed our problem in Nigeria is the judiciary. Because do you see, I don't know how many of us have taken the privilege of reading the Electoral Act, or the guidelines for the election, or the manual for the election. If you read it, that was why we were here on this platform all day. We are talking with boldness. We are saying there is no way they can regulate out based on what we know. We are talking based on fact, based on law, based on what is written, without even knowing that they don't care. That when the establishment want to do something, the law is written in their mind. The one on paper, they only obey the one on paper when it aligns with what they have in their mind. As long as it aligns with what they have in their mind, they will act as if they're obeying the law. But when it does not align with what they have in their mind, they will pull out the trump card. That was what INEC did. The Electoral Act, according to the judiciary yesterday, empowered INEC to use any means they like to transmit the election, which is true. But that Electoral Act says that INEC must write that method they have chosen in another book called the guideline, which INEC did, published and give to all the political parties. And in that place, INEC wrote with their own hand that the election will be transmitted with beavers from the polling unit to the IREV. But because the man they wanted to win did not win, they used the other manual that is in their head, which is not the one that is on the print. And their brother in the judiciary accepted and aligned with them with the one that is in their head, not the one that is on print. Because if any of those judges would pick the guideline for the election and look at it, they will be ashamed of themselves by the rulings they gave yesterday. They did not even as much as mention the guideline for the election yesterday. And so what I want the Supreme Court to do, and what I want Peter Obi to go and do in Supreme Court, is to put the Supreme Court on their own, to put them on the stand. Because the Supreme Court in May this year, in the case of Oyetola versus Adeleke, used their mouth, I still have the judgment with me here, to say that the guideline must be obeyed. Because what INEC did was to say, before Chelsea and Man U or Barcelona and Real Madrid are playing, this is the rule that UEFA set, or the rule that Barclays Premiership set, or the rule that FIFA set. And then all the clubs are where they got in the pitch and they started playing. And then the referee looked at the other side and manufactured a rule in his head. Will he stand? The answer is no. But the judges said, no problem. As long as the referee has ruled it, FIFA will say, no problem. That is what the referee likes. So we are going to give it to him. It does not happen anywhere. So I want Peter Obi to go to the Supreme Court and drag the Supreme Court out. Let them use their mouth to deny him justice again. The same justice they did not deny Adeleke. And let them say that that same manual of the election and the IREV, which they use their mouth to say is part and parcel of the election collation process, that it is no longer part and parcel. When they do it, Peter Obi has won again. He may not win by becoming the president, but he has won the Nigerian judicial system and exposed them as a corrupt establishment. That is why he should go, Nigerians. That is why we should support him to go on and keep on proving them wrong, to go on and keep on exposing them. There is something I sent you earlier today. I don't know if you got it. One simple WhatsApp. If you got it, you can put it up here whenever you'll be able to do, if it is possible. I think it's in section 137 of the Electoral Act, and I'll show us something there if it is possible. If you didn't get it, I can read it off my device. But the reason why I'm saying this is this. Yesterday, our judges used their mouth to say that the petitioner, Peter Obi, the Labour Party, did not bring witnesses to come and testify of the polling units where the results were, where the elections were mad or manipulated or what have you. And I was asking myself, where did they manufacture this? You remember what I've told us in this platform before? There is a booklet known as the Nigerians Evidence Act 2011. That is a booklet that gives both the judges and the lawyers the rule on how something like evidence may be accepted in the court. What is admissible and what is not admissible. And I went back today to read that Evidence Act, and I was asking myself, what is it that these people are talking about? Because in our Evidence Act, it states like this, that if a body, maybe like a government body, is the custodian of a certain document, and that document is demanded as evidence in court, maybe a petitioner is saying that that document that this government body, government organization, or government institution is holding will help his case, that he has the right in law to demand that that institution should provide it. If the institution asks him to pay, that he should pay and provide it so that it will help him in the making of his case. And Peter Obi went and Labour Party. Yes, thank you. That is section 137 of our Electoral Act. I will come back to it and explain why it is there. Let it be there. So, and if that body is giving that document, they are not going to bring the original of that document to court. The law, our Evidence Act, allows them to give a certified true copy of that document. Certified true copy is, simply put, photocopy with a stamp. That is what it means. And as long as the photocopy with a stamp is given, it means that whatever is in that photocopy is exactly the replica of the original. INEC gave Labour Party 18,000 over about 18,000 polling unit results. Certified it. They saw it that it was blank. They saw it that it was blurred. They saw that it was not readable, yet they stamped it. And INEC was the same body that organized the election. INEC was the same body that announced the result. And what Peter Obi asked them is simple. Give me the results you announced, because I want to tender it in court. And they asked him, pay, and he paid. And they gave him blank paper. Nigerians, what it means is that the blank paper is what they have, because it is the photocopy of what they have that they should stamp. If you photocopy it and it is not readable, you should not stamp it. The moment you stamp it, you have accepted that, because stamping means I am stamping this document and I am saying that the original of this thing I'm stamping is with me. And they stamped the blank copy and they gave to him. By that alone, INEC has proven that they don't have results. So when the judges says that Peter Obi could not prove that action was mad, where did they get that? Because INEC is already telling them that there is no result. As simple as that. And our Evidence Act says the burden of proof now shifts from someone like Labour Party to INEC to come and now convince the courts where they manufacture the result that they announced. Did you people hear the judges yesterday ask INEC any question or blame INEC for anything? The answer is no, showing that they came there to defend INEC, not to shift the scales and know where it tilts. They didn't even touch the other side. They just focused one side, boom, 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 and hit these people. It was either someone put a gun on their neck and say, read this thing, or they themselves wanted to play alongside the corruption that have been entrenched in their system right from independence till now. Now, what do we have here? This is our Electoral Act. They were talking about bringing evidence, the people to come and testify. The Electoral Act says it shall not be necessary. It shall, meaning it must not be necessary. It shall not be necessary for a party who alleges non-compliance with the provision of this act for the conduct of the election to call oral evidence if originals or certified true copy manifestly disclose the non-compliance as alleged. That is our Electoral Act. Did the judges read this 137? This 137 is saying, if by the certified true copy of INEC, it can be established that the election was not regular, there is no need calling anybody. Labour Party didn't even need to bring one single human being in the court. All they need is INEC, show us the result that you relied on to announce the ballot papers that you relied on. Give us a photo certified true copy. And if INEC gave them that certified true copy, and that certified true copy shows that indeed there was a result, Obi loses his case. But if it shows that there is no result, Obi wins his case. And by 18,000 polling units, it showed that INEC didn't have a result. Obi should have won his case. And the judges tossed it away. Nigerians, are you following what we are saying? We can go on and on and on and on and on and on. But as we all know, they have said what they said yesterday. They have given the judgment they want to give. It is left by the grace of God to know how the Supreme Court will react. Whether the same people who wrote this judgment have already written the one for the Supreme Court waiting. Because it does not look like those men. Even the way they were reading it yesterday, it does not look like they wrote it. When you wrote something, do you know when you wrote something, sometimes you don't need to read everything, because when you read the first 3 words, you know the next thing you said. It didn't look like what they read. They were struggling as if someone gave them something that morning and said, go and read. It didn't even, do you know that there's every possibility that that judgment that they read yesterday was given to them in the court, in their chamber? A DSS man would have been in their chamber just as they got up to go. They may have their own judgment. It's possible. Don't think that this thing is a conspiracy theory. There is every possibility that these men have their own judgment. And right there in their chamber, somebody told them, drop it. This is the one. Hey, you, this is the one you're going to go and read. Go out there now and read it. Because if they had read that thing even 2 times before coming out, they would have familiarized themselves with some of the words and the terms there. There is every possibility that inside their chamber, that before they got to office, someone from the above, as they call it, had gone into their office with a master key, because their office is a government property, gone into their office with a master key, sat down in their chamber waiting for them. As they opened their office, they will see somebody sitting in, and I will say to him, sir, that's the judgment. And he will be like, oh no, you can't tell me what, sir, that's the judgment. You take it, you go read it. Who told you? He said, that is the order from above, and you must do as we have said. Nigerians, don't think that it may not be possible. You remember there was a rumor we had last month that somebody was writing this judgment. It's beginning to make sense that indeed somebody may have actually written this judgment. And not only that somebody wrote this judgment, it may have not even been delivered to them. It was given to them as they put on their robe to step out of their chamber. It was given to them. Oh yeah, Hanlele, go and read it. Which one were you supposed to read? No, this is the one you read. No, this is the one you read. And they come. You see them stuttering. And they read it. And they left. I am not ruling it out. Because even if you want to deny someone, there's a way lawyers talk, the judges talk. They see the merit of this case. They say, however, we find this as an error. They see the merit of this case. They say, however, we sustain it. And they say, on this balance of probability, we weigh in towards this side. But what we read yesterday was like, they just started bam, 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 slapping front and back and kicking and beating and knocking and using all kinds of words and what have you, and finish and tossed and say, let's go. When they say some people were sleeping, yes, they were sleeping because they just came down and they realized, what is this? I am already seated. Let me cook my sleep. Let me not lose my sleep and lose this. Some people, I'm sure some people forced themselves to sleep because they couldn't contain what they were hearing. They couldn't contain it.
Honestly, it was not really looking good. Seeing even some journalists, sleeping in the courtroom, even some of the lawyers were just sleeping. You can imagine that kind of.
Because, the journalists went there yesterday hoping to dash out, to be the first to report the revolution in Nigeria by the judiciary. That's what they went to do. Do you think they went there to do what? They went there to stay there and be tweeting as it is going. It is shaking. Nigeria is getting recovered. It's getting recovered. The politicians that have been holding us to the jugular were getting delivered. But they were all disappointed. They were confused.
So many people have even argued, why did the judges not allow their faces to be shown on camera? Some people were like, is there anything they're afraid of? Are they hiding anything? Why did they give that instruction that their faces shouldn't be captured? Let me play this clip because I know that so many Nigerians were all surprised when they said they are going to allow a live streaming.
That at the beginning of the proceedings, some Nigerians had demanded that they want. Well, if you recall that at the beginning of the proceedings, some Nigerians had demanded that they wanted to have live coverage of the tribunal proceedings to get a blow-by-blow account of what is happening, how evidence is admitted or rejected, or how they have been interacting with the parties before them. But they turned it down that it's not a comedy session, it's not a drama session. So some of us are wondering what actually changed when it came to the time of the judgment. Because if you understand the law properly, when a court is trying a case, particularly a case of such national significance and importance as this, the court is also on trial. It is the prerogative of reasonable men and women to sit back and decide to watch even the demeanor of the judges and how they are performing their judicial duties, as to form their own opinion whether justice is being done, because the justice is not just what you did on the last day. It's a continuous exercise. What you did on the first day built up into the second day until you were ready to read the judgment. So some of us were wondering what exactly changed between that first request, which was turned down, and this one, which on the court on its own, so much the court, there was nobody who applied. The court on its own now said everybody should come, everybody should watch. We are ready to read the judgment. So I thought that they would have allowed this live proceedings from the beginning of the case up to the conclusion.
Because many say, look, why is it that Nigerian judiciary took this stance? And for instance, in several countries across the world, several high-profile cases, they see what transpires, blow-by-blow account, they see the faces of the judges. But in this case, we don't see their faces.
Even yesterday, I hardly saw the face of any judge. I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
You're very right. That was a directive. That
yes, nobody.
Just
so what exactly were they hiding? There are things that raises questions. These are Nigerians. Many lawyers know them. Many people know them. What exactly were they hiding to say, don't put the camera? Because even the idea of you hearing a voice without seeing the person the reading, the face, the gesticulations, even the way the person looks, makes it look somehow like an artificial intelligence kind of proceeding. There was absolutely no reason why we shouldn't have seen them, and nobody. I mean, there was no provision of the law, no rules of court that said that their faces should be hidden. I mean, why do you have to hide if you know you are doing the right thing? So some of these things were questions agitating the minds of some Nigerians yesterday. Okay, so to
Yes, so guys, you've heard it for yourself. Why did they not allow their faces to be captured? They told us that they wanted to be streamed live. And when it was time, they said, please, we don't want your camera to face us. Don't show our faces. Were they trying to hide anything? Like what this man just said, Mr. Eze, he was saying that people would have loved to see their faces while they were reading this judgment, their body language and all that. But they told maybe the journalists not to capture them. Doesn't mean they've got anything to hide. Doctor, what do you have to say about this? So that I still have another clip that I want to play.
See, if you want to call me a conspiracy theorist this night, go ahead. But if I insist that this judgment may not have been written by the judges, and not only were those judgments handed over to them, it was not even handed over to them a day. It was handed over to them yesterday and in their chambers. And so connecting the video coverage, the master who gave them the judgment also tell them to cover it, that it will be covered. Remember that the letter, if you read the letter from the registrar, it was a letter written to if you read that letter, it was a letter written to the petitioners and the respondents. But the paragraph that has to talk about coverage was as if it is a letter also included the media houses. When I read it, it does not look like an official letter written to the petitioners and the respondents, which is the normal thing. They modeled in the video coverage as if they are doing public announcements. I kept it by the side, which means the judges themselves may have not actually been the people. Remember, they had committed themselves by saying for policy, it's policy for them not to do that. And then all of a sudden they change policy. And now the master that wrote that judgment to them, whom I don't know, the unseen hand, may have also asked them to televise it. And the question is why? Because the hand that wrote the judgment and the hand that wanted televised wanted to tell the Nigerians that they are in charge and that they can treat them any way they like, and that they will broadcast the embarrassment and their humiliation for the world to hear, that we can now do our worst. That's why I say, if you want to call me a conspiracy, what do you call it? Theorist, conspiracy theorist, go ahead.
Oh my God.
But my mind is free to think. Because what happened yesterday should make everybody begin to think they left our brain to think of what could have happened. And you know what happened? While they empowered, mandated them to humiliate Nigeria, embarrass Nigeria, deny Nigeria of their rights, some of them were in their yacht, in their private jet, enjoying holiday, traveling around the world. They finished it and they all left Nigeria. They were not in the country when it was happening.
Yeah, many of them were.
Have you watched that movie, Godfather? The man was busy in a wedding, I think in a church, when his boys were doing some atrocious things for him, and he was in a church.
So there's equally this argument on how the judges ruled. while they were reading this judgment, they were like saying that the petitioner did not do this. The petitioner, as in they just exonerated INEC and the respondents. The hammer was just falling on the petitioner. I mean, when it was time for Peter Obi's case to be looked into, they were just like, the petitioner did not, and like Mr. Eze Onyekwere was like, is it now a crime that the petitioner took his case to the court for the court to look into it? Please, before you come into this, let me equally allow this clip to play, because
not just
honestly,
this
that judgment was
panel
somehow
alone, usually go what I call a wild goose chase, put adjectival law, put all kinds of challenges and obstacles on the road. So they are not actually trying to determine who won, but it's like who can display more of the knowledge of legal technicalities and gymnastics. Let's look at this way. The petitioners went to court. For the first 2 to 3 weeks, the court gave an order to INEC to provide them, give them access to beavers and materials. It took almost 2-3 weeks before they could have access. And they didn't have more than a couple of days before INEC came back with an application they want to wipe out, because they have to use the machine for another election. If you recall, in so many states of the Federation, the INEC put obstacles on the way of petitioners to access the materials and information they need. Now you put the whole blame, the whole onus, because hearing the judgment yesterday, the recurring decimal was the petitioner failed, the petitioner failed. At some point, it was sounding like a rebuke to the petitioner for coming to court in the first place. All right? Now, if you are presuming regularity from a government agency like INEC, and it has been shown to you that there was nothing regular about what they have done. They uploaded materials on the net, and you have materials from Katsina in Port Harcourt or in Abia. You have from Abia in Maiduguri, all those kind of things.
Thank you for this video. That was exactly what I was saying earlier on. The burden of proof, according to this barrister is saying if, but indeed in law and according to our Evidence Act, by mere begging INEC, which is mandated by law to provide them, has exonerated Labour Party. He has now shifted the burden of proof to INEC. Do you know what it means? Somebody challenged me for presenting fake certificates to INEC if I am a politician. All right? And the court mandates the school to come and prove it. And the school did not come to prove it. Okay, now let me use another thing, because the school, they are deliberative, they want to come or not. Let me just put it again. INEC is a government agency. INEC is like the police who investigated the matter and said, we found this person's DNA on the murder weapon. And that person's defense says, give me that copy of the DNA. Let me compare it with my own pathologist. You said no. Haven't you told that person now that you're lying? Because you owe him everything that will make him prove his case. And according to our Evidence Act, a body like INEC, this whole thing, or the only thing Peter Obi should do, or Labour Party, according to our Evidence Act, is just to tell the court there was irregularity and go and sit down, according to our Evidence Act. And the next thing will be the body that says that no, there was no irregularity, to come and prove that there is no irregularity. By doing what? Saying, my lord, they said there was irregularity. No, look at the result. Oh, there is no irregularity here. But they kept it. Nigerians remember when they even had to go to court to go to the same judges, to ask the same judges to mandate INEC not to reformat the beavers. These same 5 men authorized INEC to wipe it off and give Labour Party the certified true copy. These same judges. That's why I can't believe that they wrote that judgment. They couldn't have written that judgment. They could not have written that judgment. That judgment looks like Olanipekun's reply that they picked and removed Olanipekun's name and put their own and read to us. If you had read Olanipekun's reply, it was both the terms he was using, the fallacious, all those terminologies. It looks like they just picked his reply, removed his name, put their own, and read it. I can't believe that those judges read it, that they wrote that judgment. And that's what this man is saying. I'm enjoying him. Please continue.
That rebuts that presumption of regularity. It should be up to the commission to show why it has to be believed. You put everything on a petitioner, just a political party leader, and he's not part of INEC, he's not part of the police, he's not part of the law enforcement agencies. You now want him to also prove. For instance, INEC put up a portal. They also manipulated the portal. And you want the petitioners to prove how INEC manipulated the portal. It is up to INEC to come forward with credible evidence that a portal, which they told Nigerians was the game changer, suddenly went off for a few hours and resumed the following day. And the few hours it went off were the critical hours when it had to be relied upon. You also said nobody can force INEC to electronically transmit the result. Did anybody intend to force INEC? INEC came out with regulations, and we are the ones who asked the National Assembly to give them money, public money, my tax money, my honest sweat, and it was given to them. They built up a portal and regaled Nigerians at various fora, from Mr. Yakubu to Festus Okoye to all of them, both within Nigeria and outside, about the game changer they had. And at the critical moment, they failed. And you are saying nobody can force them. Did anybody intend to force them? They made a promise, spent taxpayers' money, and failed. And instead of rebuking them, you are rebuking a petitioner who says, I relied on what my...
Please. You remember I used to say that promise. INEC don't owe us a promise. But let me, for benefit of aligning myself with this honorable learned gentleman, they made a promise, but they drove their promise into law and actually codified their promise. To codify it means to make it a law. So that promise became a law, meaning that even if they change their mind, they can't, even if they don't want again, they can't change their mind because it has become a law. And the judges who knows the importance of this said, no problem. What somebody I saw this thing today. You know, these headstones they put in the burial ground. I don't know if you saw it, where they said Nigeria 1999 to 2003, the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, that was born in 1999. He died on 6 September 1993. That's what these judges did yesterday. They obliterated the Constitution. They obliterated the Electoral Act, which has its strength from the Constitution. They obliterated the guideline, which has its strength from the Electoral Act. They obliterated it just to spite Nigerians and please an interest. Go ahead.
A government official who took my taxpayers' money and blew it in the air did. But how can you be hard to say that? So it's a proper misdirection, because you get people who call themselves senior advocates try to dance around these things. Why is Nigeria perpetually a toddler? Why are we not making progress? In 2015, the card reader issue came up, all right? And the Supreme Court said, oh, it's not in the law, it's not this one. When you have a mischief in the law which has been identified, you recall the Saraki Senate even amended the Electoral Act which Buhari didn't want to sign. Even the Senate and the House did. It was at the last minute that he was forced by public opinion to sign. These amendments, some of them, were meant to cure the mischief that were discovered close to 10 years, 5, 7, 8, 10 years ago. And we are still repeating the same thing, we don't learn from our mistakes if they were mistakes, making me to believe that these things were deliberately planned and have the courts affirm them. And then what message are we sending? And in law, those facts, the onus is on the person to come and give evidence on why he shouldn't be held, that these things should proceed in the normal course of things. You built a portal, or you commissioned experts to build a portal. When they finished, they reported to you. You were given the back end, the passwords. Your own IT technicians are the ones who are now in charge. The person who built it has gone. All right? And you made a promise to everybody, uncoerced. It's not like anybody forced you. You came out in public and said this is a game changer. So when you did not deliver, should I have the onus to show why you did not deliver? When I don't have access to the engine room, the back end, the passwords and anything, it is you who should come and tell us. And don't tell us things that don't make sense. Oh, you had a glitch. What is a glitch? You shut down a system, you say it's a glitch.
Thank you. Thank you. The man has summarized it. You know, I was coming to the mischief rule. He mentioned it. In this place, before the so-called judgment yesterday, we have mentioned mischief rule several times. What is mischief rule for those of us who do not understand? It is when there is a weakness in an existing law. A weakness in an existing law. And then you wanted to correct it. So you send a new law to the National Assembly or to the lawmakers of whatever country. That lawmakers will now look at that weakness and then correct that weakness by an addition of a law. That is why they always say 1999 as amended, 2022 as amended, Electoral Act 2011 as amended, 2022 as amended. Meaning that there's an amendment that was made in it to correct a certain gap or weakness. That is mischief on the user of that particular product, which in this instance is INEC. INEC identified it. INEC escalated it to the lawmakers, who are the only body empowered with correcting it by way of lawmaking. And the lawmaker, it started from Saraki's time in 2015, which Buhari refused to sign because he thought it's going to impact him from winning in 2019. And even after 2019, that's why I said they mistakenly amended it. He just signed it into law. He came in 2022 for this election because he himself is not going to be on the ballot. Now, what happened is that the executive now signs it into law. So that mischief is now corrected. The implementation goes back to the hand of the user, which is INEC, to execute it again. Now, if for any reason that issue that was corrected emanated, that lands in the judiciary, have you seen it now? Legislature, executive, judiciary. The law, the mischief rule is that the judge who is sitting in the case will first of all bear in mind the mischief that the previous law wanted to correct, which this law has now corrected, and use it as a platform upon which he will judge. Meaning that everything we have talked, you see, when both PDP and Labour Party were going to court, they thought they were going to court to become, lawyers who present cases without knowing that there's an ulterior motive, that they are coming to present things according to law, Others are coming according to their mindset and their power. Because the judges will first of all ask, what was it in this Electoral Act 2022 that is different from Electoral Act 2011? And how did INEC comply with the change that occurred in 2011, which has now given birth to 2022? And all of them, our honorable judges threw it away. Because that thing whereby they expect you to bring witness from 176,000 polling units, 100. You've just heard me now read section 137. It says it's no longer necessary as long as INEC certifies the result and give. The judges are bound to use the one that INEC certified to say, okay, if INEC certified this result, we have calculated it. This guy who is saying that he won, he actually won. Or this guy that is disturbing us, he didn't actually win. But what INEC gave was nothing. The judges would have said, the mischief is that before, you don't use to certify. Now you have certified it and we'll use what you give to us. Simple. Nigerians, please, please, as I said yesterday, it is good you know how we were robbed. And I don't know, I have this strong hunch, and I say it. Call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't believe 1 second that those judges wrote what they read. And I don't even believe that they were giving those judgments a night before. I believe that as they walked into their chambers, that judgment they read yesterday was there waiting for them. On that note, I say thank you, Nigerians, and good night.
Yes, thank you very much, Doctor. Yeah, we look forward to Peter Obi's legal team filing this appeal at the Supreme Court. Let's believe that justice will be served this time. Let's just believe that our judges must have realized their mistakes. As in, looking at, watching what happened yesterday, though, you feel like crying, crying the way they were like mentioning the petitioner, the hammer was just falling on somebody that ran to them for help. They now turn around to start beating the person. Can you imagine? That was exactly what happened yesterday. Peter Obi went to court thinking that he would get justice there. They rather turn around and were like blaming him for some of the things that happened, even those that INEC Mahmoud is even responsible for. They were now telling Mr. Peter Obi that he couldn't prove that elections were rigged at this polling unit, the numbers and all that, and he didn't bring enough evidence. Honestly, if you've not watched that judgment for yesterday, it'd be nice you go and watch it, because Doctor is saying that he's not sure that they wrote what they read out yesterday, because reading it out, the flow was not there. It was as if they were even like struggling, while reading it. So I don't know. We just want to believe that the Supreme Court will come to our rescue. To the rescue of the Nigerian people, because people think it's just about Peter Obi. Peter Obi told Nigerians that I am not the one running for this presidency. You are the one running through me. We want Nigeria to move forward. We want Nigeria to be better. And we look forward to getting justice at the Supreme Court. So, guys, I want to say a very big thank you for being a part of today's show. Thank you very much. Your presence means a lot to us, and we must continue, telling the world what is happening. We must continue in this journey, calling the attention of our judges. Even, no doubt, some of them do watch all these shows. They know that Nigerians are now educated when it comes to politics and, some of the things happening in our judicial system. They've now known that we are interested because we want a better Nigeria. So we appreciate you guys for being a part of today's session. Please don't forget to like this video so that YouTube can recommend it for others to watch. Please subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell for future updates. Thank you very much and have a pleasant night's sleep. Bye.
Thank you. Good
Dr.
night.
Bye.
Bye.